What is your guess I can't go into that store ever again story? Went to a pizza place to pick up an order, was handed the food and said, "Thank you." So the response was, "My name's Tiffany." Had to send my wife in to get the food until Tiffany didn't work there anymore. Once I went to a restaurant in a resort. A probably 15-year-old girl wearing a freaking skirt, kept getting called a sir. I was just flat and had short hair, also I guess my unplucked waxed threaded eyebrows made me look more masculine, but dang, I was wearing a skirt and a shirt with a heart on it. It was so awkward. I used to go to a bagel store near my work pretty often, maybe once a week or so. Family owned shop, with the dad, uncle, mom etc all working there, as well as the owner's daughter during the summer. I was always pretty friendly to everyone, and talked to the whole family as we were both from NY but lived in the south now. Well, one time after getting a sandwich to go and getting back to the office, I saw the daughter, who was maybe only a few years younger than me, had written her number on the to-go container, which was great except I was happily engaged at the time. So later that week I went back, got lunch, and let her know I was flattered but I was in a relationship, and she was very polite and we just kind of moved on. The next week, I went back and again, the daughter wasn't working, but when I went to order the whole family started grilling me on why I wouldn't date their daughter, accusing me of making up my fiancée, saying I led her on and broke her heart again. We had never had any conversations more intimate than house school. "Oh wow, the weather is hot today. Yeah, I miss NY sometimes too, hahaha." Then they asked how I was going to make it up to her, at which point I kind of slowly started leaving and told them I wasn't sure but I will think of something, and have never returned since. I got a gym membership for the first time recently. A lot of the machines are pretty self-explanatory, but I've never used a lot of them so I have no idea what I'm doing. So a few weeks ago I'm trying out the endless stair machine and in front of me is a guy on a machine working his arms, like making circular pedaling motions. I thought, huh, I could do my arms too. So I take the machine next to his, set the timer for 10 minutes, just circling away. I finish my 10 minutes and look down by the seat to see handles. It was a leg machine. I sat there for 10 minutes in front of the entire gym, God and everybody circling my arms like a lunatic. I mean, I'm still going back because I paid for it, but I'm not going to look anyone in the eye there ever again. There's a guy at my gym who does like jumping karate kicks all the way across the whole floor, then all the way back over and over. I'm waiting for him to decapitate someone walking crossways by accident. I would not even blink at you pedaling with your arms or whatever the heck you did. There's always some dude doing something weirder and more intentional. Back when I was getting married I was sick as a dog and my soon-to-be bride insisted we go shopping for the wedding invites. Went into this pretty higher-end shop and really felt ill, and not just at the prices. Asked one of the workers if they had a restroom I could use. Long story short, took a massive smelly diarrhea dump, clogged the toilet and they had no plunger to fix it with. Even though I only flushed once, the toilet kept running and it started to overflow. Rushed out, closed the door, grabbed my bride by the arm and just said, "We gotta go." I was with a group of friends in a very quiet store. We were slowly leaving one by one through the double glass doors. One of it was closed and the other stayed opened. I somehow thought the closed door was opened and vice versa, so I walked smack into the middle of the closed glass door. My face was imprinted on it. I guess my face was very oily. My friends and the shopkeeper came rushing to see if I was okay, then all marveled at my squashed face imprint. I left quickly. Every time I walk past that shop I make sure I am looking down or at the other side in case the staff recognize my face. While at the till at the convenience store paying for my lunch, the girl behind the counter asked if I wanted to go for a drink. Being married, I made my apologies hastily, pointing to the ring on my fingers, to which he replied that my lunch was a meal deal and would be cheaper with the drink. She never used the phrase "go for" again. My girlfriend fist bumped the clerk when he was actually reaching to grab a paper we had just signed. Anyway, we don't go to that tar kingdom anymore. I fist bumped a cashier at a grocery store a couple days ago. He was just handing me my change. Never buying groceries again. It brings up dark memories. Went on a first date with this girl to a new restaurant in town. She proceeded to get sloppy drunk and made a huge scene. From the classic could not control the volume of her voice to insisting on trying to show me and some other gentleman nearby what kind of underwear she had on while loudly insisting that she's a good girl though. The server we had seemed to get that I was not a willing part of this, but I was so mortified there's no way I'd ever go back. Note to self, never go on a date in a restaurant you really like. Do barbershops count? Decided to get a haircut whilst having a cold, sneeze and farted at the same time. Never went back. I pee all over the floor of a toy store when I was a toddler. My poor dad was mortified, but the staff were very nice about it. The store's closed now, which really sucks. I don't think I actually remember the name of the place. I wouldn't be too worried, man. I used to work in a toy store and you would be surprised by the amount of kids who vomit and pee out of excitement from going to a toy store. When I was a kid, my family went to a pizzeria, and before the food came I went to inspect the plumbing. They had those sinks where you press down on the knob and the water would flow, with the knob slowly raising back up before it would turn off after 20 seconds. I used my fists and hit the top of the knob and the thing just popped off and a huge geyser of water was erupting non-stop. Me and another kid were in there. We looked at each other and just bolted from the bathroom. I got back to my seat and just sat there silent. Then my mom went to use the bathroom, and when she came back she told us this story of how there was a pool in the bathroom hallway and the manager and an employee were in the men's room slipping and sliding trying to shut off the water. My whole family was laughing at the story, but I just sat there silent. They asked me what's wrong and I told them it was me that did it. They never fail to mention it every time we drive past a pizzeria, Even now 20 years later, I've never stepped foot in one since then. I was in a souvenir shop in London, England, with all these knickknacks and whatnot. I bumped a shelf that had a bunch of models of Big Ben, and like 6 or 7 of them fell off the shelf and broke. I offered to pay for them, but the employees blew it off. I guess minimum wage workers don't care enough about their actual company policy. Thankfully, I was grateful, and now I will never return to that particular store. I'm fairly sure all those shops are a front for something anyway. I sat on a Target shelf and the entire row of shelves crashed down onto the ground. Those shelves are not very strong at the wrong angle. I'm at a coffee shop, have a glass of coffee in front of me, filled to the top. That crap is almost overflowing. I raise my hand to get the waitress attention because I want to order something else. I accidentally whack the crap out of the glass. This sends it flying across the room where it hits the waitress on the thigh and gets coffee fricking everywhere. Felt bad, so I left and never went back. Nice shot. This is a fond memory. Moved downtown to our university area. Got myself a sweet deal on a cheap, ghetto as frick studio. The kind that get rented out to poor students next to the area homeless shelter. 2006. Rent is only $300 a month. And I am not in school. Too busy being punk rock and making just enough for a roof and partying. Paradise. One weekend, I go to a show, get completely shithoused, and stumble back up the hill to either get more fricked up or pass out at home. I decide to stop at the 7-Eleven directly across from my building. Yeah, no. Snacks. I grab everything my impulses and lack of inhibition tells me to, and I am about to pay for this garbage and be on my way. Set my things on the counter and politely introduce myself to the cashier as she is ringing up my last couple things without any kind of warning or rumbling beforehand. I am in excruciating pain, right in my gut. A split second flashes by. I clutch and clench my legs together. I gasped bathroom to her. It was too late 5 seconds ago. I try to take a step and bam, my bowels unleash with not only an ungodly sound from my butt, but a simultaneous yelp as if I were a chihuahua that had just been stomped on. I swear I have never been so suddenly sober without a cop being involved. I have shorts on. I look down, and just liquid crap down the back of my leg, into my boots, and starting to puddle on the floor. I just ran. No change, no snacks, no words. I lived at that spot for almost 2 years, never went back, and never even walked across their lot to get anywhere. I would walk the same way around that place to avoid it every day. I feel terrible. She probably tells that story to this day. So this dude just shoots himself right in front of me and runs away without saying a word. You know how in department stores when they have one of those display bathrooms they have that piece of plexiglass that goes across the toilet that says something along the lines of not a real toilet. Don't be an idiot and pee in this? Those barriers didn't exist in the 80s when I was a young kid. Mom looked up and saw me with my panties off, holding my dress above my waist and sprinting for the toilet. She did not catch me in time. This is the one answer that had me dying. I did the exact same thing in the early 2000s. Can't look at a Lowe's the same. I tripped up over my shoelace and crashed into a shelf and broke it. The manager chased me out of the store. A friend was getting married and asked me to make her wedding dress. We went to a fabric store to check out our options and get swatches. She asked to use the shop's bathroom. A few minutes later, she walked out quickly and whispered to me, "We need to get the frick out here now." Turns out she had explosive diarrhea and absolutely destroyed the bathroom. Neither of us have been back. I went to buy groceries almost daily, always in the same store. Most of the time only one checkout lane was open and there was always this really friendly older lady there. She would always make small talk with me and compare me to her son. After a few years of this I moved a bit farther away, but never told her, so I just didn't show up anymore. Now I won't ever go back there because I feel ashamed I didn't tell her and just abandoned her. I'm sure she would be happy to see you again. Not a store but a Mexican restaurant. I went to use the bathroom. It was one of those single occupancy rooms with a locking door. Well, the door wasn't locked and due to what I can only describe as the worst timing ever, I saw none other than my waiter's dong. I was kinda shocked, so I looked up and we made eye contact for a second. I just went back to my table and didn't say anything for the rest of the meal. Even as my friends were asking what happened, I eventually told them and it's now one of my classic stories. But yeah, I can't ever go back. It's really more awkward for the waiter. He's the one who'd be hiding in shame if he saw you. When I was much younger, about 9-10, I went to a large PC store with my dad, who wanted to ask a technician about an upgrade. Before we left the house, my dad asked if I needed the toilet first, which I said no to. Predictably, on the way I started feeling like I needed to pee, but knowing that I had only 5 minutes earlier told my dad I didn't need to go, I said nothing. We got stuck in traffic for about 30 minutes and the need was becoming urgent. But I thought to myself, I'm a big boy now, I can handle this, I'll just go behind the store when we get there. Nope. So when we pull up I pretend to my dad that I'm going to look at the games at the front of the store and he could find me there when he was done. So he walked off to the back of the store where the technician's desk was. I took my chance and snuck out to execute my master plan. Little did I know that the rear car park of the retail center was being used for some sort of event. I don't recall what it was, but I just remember a lot of people standing around talking and singing. So I abandoned my attempt and returned to the store. I was at the point of bouncing on the spot to keep it in. One lapse in concentration and it was game over. I returned to the game section and was walking up and down frantically, pretending to browse when all I was really doing was trying not to pee myself. Clearly I was acting strangely, and this led to the security guard coming over to see if I was okay. Except when he arrived he turned the corner just as I was coming to the end of the aisle, and we basically ran straight into each other. The brief moment of shock was all it took to break my pee holding zen. It started as a couple of hot drips that just soaked the front of my underwear, but the seal was now broken, and no matter what I did, there was nothing that could stop that tsunami of warm amber that was now streaming down both of my legs. I could do nothing but stand there, and started crying hysterically. Safe to say that when my dad heard this and came running, he decided that he would not be making a purchase that day, and to this day I have never set foot in that store again. TLDR. Pee myself in the middle of a store in front of the security guard. Dad did not buy a new PC. We got a nail cooked into our pizza, not a fingernail, a construction nail. Found one of those in my cake at a Mexican buffet. Cake was good though. I went into a local beauty products store. Everything is made locally by artisans. It's all very eco-conscious blah blah. I had never been in before, and I was looking for a serum or cream to help minimize eye wrinkles. I found a product one of the salespeople talked up. Small 0.75 ounces bottle, then went to the counter to pay. That'll be $135.50. said the salesperson. Oh heck no. Haha, no thank you. I don't care about my eyes that much. I blurted out before I even knew what I was saying. I turned on a heel and left the shop and never went back. It's been 6 months. Fair reaction. It better include water from the fountain of youth for that price. In 1983 at age 17 I went into a pharmacy. I bought something and somehow I was given 50p too much change. I didn't say anything and left. To this day I've still not gone back. I have felt guilty ever since. I was in Walmart and had to readjust, so I kindly just shoved my hands down the front of my pants. While the vet tech from the vet's office I took my dogs to walked by, making eye contact with me. Never saw him again after that. I was once shopping for a new dress in a Kohl's. I want to say it was for a wedding or something. I am not a dress person, so I brought my mom with me to help me pick out a dress. I dress well, but I just don't like to wear dresses, and the dresses at the time were not meant for girls with big boobs. Everything seemed to have a structured bust that my boobs would not fit in, and if it fit my boobs it was massive in the waist. There was no good bust to waist ratio on anything that I tried on, and anything that didn't have a structured bust looked like I was wearing a potato sack. I must have tried on 20 dresses, and after about the 10th it just became comical. My mom and I were laughing so hard at how awful every dress looked on me, or how my boobs were about to explode out of them. I finally tried on a ruffled floral one that wasn't structured and had a waist belt. My mom blank stared at me for a second and said, "You look like a waitress at the Apple Barn," and burst into laughter. I could not catch my breath. When my mom starts laughing really hard her head turtles into her shoulders and her eyes disappear and she looks ridiculous. When she gets like that I have to get away from her or there is a 100% chance that I will pee on myself from also laughing too hard. Even if I look away I can still hear her and I know what she looks like while laughing. Well, there was nowhere to go. I wound up peeing through my underwear in the corner of the fitting room while begging her to stop laughing. We promptly left and I've never been back. Mother-daughter relationship goals. Well, aside from you establishing a pee corner lol. When I was 10 me and my mother were at Kmart school shopping. I was trying on clothes in the changing room when all of a sudden I really had to fart. So I left the room and while walking I let it rip. What I didn't see there was employee bent down doing something and that fart hit her right in the face. When I realized I ran out of the store scared to go back for years. 7-11 down the street from me sold me spoiled milk multiple times, so I complained. She said it spoiled in the car ride home. 5 minutes away, in the dead of winter. Frick her. My partner and I were out for dinner. Suddenly she looked at me and said she had to go to the bathroom. She jumped up and at that moment projectile vomited all over the table. Running to the bathroom she carried on vomiting all over the floor. After about 10 minutes I get a text from my partner to come to the bathroom. I knocked on the door, was a single bathroom, and she opened it and politely informed me she had defecated herself from the force of throwing up. Oh my. After she'd done what she could to clean up the bathroom, we had to walk through a party of employees mopping her vomit up whilst my jacket around her waist. I paid the bill and swiftly left. We got in the car and never looked back. I quite liked that restaurant, and now we can never step foot in it again. Hope your partner was okay. I walked into a shop near my house, picked up a 6-pack, and walked straight out the door again. Well, until I was stopped by security. I was so sure that I had paid for that beer, but my friends confirmed that I had not. My fiance and I stopped at a local restaurant 2 days ago that were offering a great deal for a pitcher of beer. I wasn't even planning drinking but couldn't say no to such a great price. It took me a very long time to finish by myself and I got pretty drunk and slowly turned into a very chatty catty. Halfway though a very long story I was telling, my partner whispered, "I think they are waiting for us," and motioned behind me. It turned out the restaurant closed an hour ago and every staff member was sitting quietly at the bar patiently listening to me going on about nothing. I lost sleep that night from embarrassment. Thanks for watching. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.